Now, former Prasa CEO Lucky Montana is continuing his testimony at the state capture inquiry. Montana is focusing on a tender that was awarded to media companies. Earlier, the commission heard evidence from a forensic expert as well. Kailihle Khumalo is following proceedings for us. He joins us now live. So, Prasa's advertising dominating proceedings today. Kaya, tell us more.
Well, precisely, Shahan, a very critical element, especially for an entity like Prasa in terms of revenue generation, but also going back just to prior to 2010 when the tender was issued out. So Mr. Montana says Prasa was really just being bled out in terms of its own money and, of course, in terms of outdoor advertising. For example, you do have a company like Prime Media that was getting about 300 million rand, and then Prasa will get about 70 million rand. So you can see a very vast shortfall to that effect. So hence in 2010 they wanted to have a tender, but of course that particular tender was marred by irregularities. So hence Prime Media decided to go to court, and it became a 10-year-long court battle, and eventually, of course, Prime Media did win the case. But of course, another very critical element here, Shahan, is around how advertising really caused a bit of a tussle just within the divisions at Prasa, where then you had the Public Affairs Office that was run by the late Hope Zinde, and how she wanted, for example, to improve the public image of Prasa. And then, of course, Mr. Montana said a lot of things happened to that effect. So once again, let's take a listen to him elaborating further.
Prime Media, Continental, with the two leading companies onto the Prasa network. They were making more money than Prasa itself. So as a CEO of Prasa, I'm required, and I never accused Ms. Ngoya that you are acting in the interest of this company. But we're already seeing instances of collusion. Okay. And one of the major issues when I read the recent judgment on this Prime Media issue, I think that the court noted the fact that Prasa didn't oppose. And why did it take 9 years, Chair? You know what? Because it took 9 years precisely because when the review application is on the table, the beneficiaries, the people who had occupied Prasa sites, continue to make more money on the sites than Prasa itself. So here we've got an instance of a state-owned enterprise that is being robbed of much needed revenue. I come as you and say, no, these guys have been here for long, issue a tender, and let's get the benefit for that.
So a forensic expert also testifying today. What was that about?
Well, that's right, Shahan. So a forensic expert really faces a very monumental task to look at the very nature of the email that contained the letter of suspension for some of executives for Eskom, because you know that the state captures looking at the different streams of the state-owned enterprises. So it was a very critical testimony, because then they had to delve into the verification that was undertaken by Professor Lawrence, but also another very important element here is that the name of the Gupta, of course, had meant that, of course, Salim Essa once again has came up, and the allegation is that he's the one who wrote this particular email, and subsequently it ended up in the hands of Ms. Daniels. Of course, she was the company secretary responsible for all the legal issues at Eskom. But also, in the meantime, Shahan, in a matter of time or so, the Inspector General of Intelligence, Dr. Dinte, once again will get an opportunity to be on the hot seat. Yesterday he spoke about a lot of challenges that are facing his office that is supposed to have an oversight role in terms of the role of state security, but also going as far as saying some ministers of the security cluster, the Minister of Defense, Police, and of course State Security, approached the President. They were concerned about the content in terms of the testimony that he's going to present. There are lot of sensitivities, classified information as well, but he assured the Commission that all the documents he'll be presenting here will be declassified, and he's really keen to make sure that the Office of the Inspector General responsible for intelligence is taken seriously, especially because you know the challenges of lack of accountability when it comes to the affairs of state security.
All right, Khayelitsha Khumalo following the state capture inquiry for us.